Welcome 56ers. So, hey, do you remember from last week what we're talking about this month? We're talking about emotions. Some of us just love them. Some of us hate them. And most of us don't actually know what to do when we experience them. The verse that we're actually focusing on this month for our memory verse comes from the book of 2 Corinthians, and it's chapter 10, verse 5, and it says this: "We take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ." What this means is that when we have really strong emotions, really strong feelings, we should pause on them, capture them, and ask God if what we're feeling is true and obedient to Him, or if our feelings are taking over us and causing us to do something that we really shouldn't. This month, as we're talking about emotions, we're also looking at the life of David. And last week, we looked at what David did when he was afraid and it was experiencing fear. Do you know what emotion we're going to talk about today? Take a guess.
It's been a long time since I've cried.
What would you think it sounds like?
That's all I got.
Can you try to cry? And you can use your hands if you need to.
Can you come stand right here? Like right beside the camera.
I don't know how to do it. I'm stuck between laughing and crying. I don't understand what's going on.
Why is it so funny watching people cry? I don't know about you, but I thought that was actually pretty amusing.
I love that this is a token response.
Or the guy who can't even, he's like, I'm trying to cry. I'm stuck between crying and laughing.
Hey, I think we should have a cry off right now.
What do you mean, a cry off?
Well, to see which one of us can cry the quickest.
But I'm not even very good at crying.
Winner has to buy the other one something that they really want.
Okay, like something $5,
I want
$5 or less?
I want Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
Oh. I don't know.
Okay, you don't even know, so I'm clearly gonna win. Let's do it.
Okay, what do we have to do? Make ourselves cry?
First one to cry.
You're on.
All right.
Okay, on your marks, get set, go.
Oh, I should be pretty. I got another idea. Oh yeah.
20 seconds.
I'm gonna crush you. Oh, that's the wrong name. I took my glasses off. It's not working. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh no, oh no. Oh, that burns. Ow, oh, oh, do you see it? Is it coming out? It burns so bad. Do you see?
We'll call it good. We'll call it good.
It's coming. No, it's coming. It's right there. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. Can you beat my time?
You know, I'll be honest. After watching the onion sniffing, I don't know if you remember this, Pastor George, but we actually already have some Reese's Pieces right here. So I think I'll save my eyes a little bit, and you can win this one.
Well, I like winning, but I don't really like winning that way. You like forfeited.
Why don't you cry about it?
I don't want to put another
Oh
onion in
wait,
my...
you already did.
Hey, 56ers, just a real important thing. No, you don't get any of those.
All right.
You did nothing.
All right.
Don't try that at home. Not a good idea. Not wisdom. Don't watch us and do what we do. That's just
true.
not wise.
That's true.
There's better things to do this time. Anyhow, we should probably talk about what today's even about.
Crying, sadness. You know what? We don't all cry when we're sad, but we all experience sadness. It's something that all of us have, and it's one of the emotions that's actually really not that much fun. But it's really important to learn how to express our sadness and what to do when we feel sad. So today's story is a story from the life of David. And it's a story where he experiences sadness in a really significant way. The story we're talking about today, it traces through a few of the chapters in 2 Samuel. David is the king, but what happens is one of his sons, named Absalom, decides that he is going to reject his dad and he wants to take over the throne. So he gets a whole bunch of people on his side and says, let's fight my dad and conquer him and take over his throne. That's a tragic, terrible thing for any kid to do. And I know none of you are parents, but for a parent, that's probably the worst imaginable thing that could happen in your life, is for one of your kids to try and destroy your life. So what happens is, Absalom gets all his troops together, and David's army is together, and David doesn't fight in the battle, but they come and they have this big war. And during the fight, Absalom is killed, and David's army actually wins. But because David's not there, Joab, he knows that somebody's got to take the news to the king. And even though the king's side wins, he knows that King David is going to have real mixed feelings, because this is his son whom he loves. So they send a runner to go tell King David in his palace what's happened. Actually, David's not in his palace because his son took over the palace. So this is what happened. The runner comes and he announces to the king, and he announces that they've won. And David says, oh, that's so good. And he says, but what about my son Absalom? Is Absalom still alive? And the man kind of lowers his head and he says, no. May all your enemies be the same way that young man is, which means your son's dead. And it says this in verse 33, it says, the king was shaken. He went up to the room over the gateway and wept. As he went, he said, oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, if only I had died instead of you. Oh, Absalom, my son, my son. This is one of those times in the Bible where we actually just get like a little glimpse into the real rawness in somebody's life. And when we experience sadness, some of us, we cry and we let our sadness out and we experience it, we enter into it. But some of us, we've been told, when you're sad, you just need to deal with it. You just need to buck up and move on. And sometimes for some of us, it's actually really hard to feel sadness in our heart, to be honest with our feelings. And the problem is, when we don't let ourselves experience the true emotions inside of us, it can turn us into people who are really hard. And we don't know how to let anybody else around us be sad. And people like this, who aren't honest with their emotions, can become really challenging to be around. You might know somebody like that they don't let other people be sad, or they don't let other people be scared. They just, oh, that's stupid. Just move on. Come on, just buck up. That's not what King David does. King David actually enters into his sadness. He's honest with his emotions. Remember that verse we're talking about in 2 Corinthians 10, verse 5? Take every thought captive. This emotion that David's feeling, it is genuine. He is sad. And in his sadness, he's honest with it before the Lord. But the problem is, David, instead of giving that sadness to God, he sort of just holds on to it. And he almost lets the sadness control him in this experience. And the problem is, when we let our sadness take over, we forget to do the second half of that verse. Take every thought captive and make it obedient to Christ. Our emotions can't control us. God is our king, and he needs to be the one at the center. So even though we want to take our emotions and offer them up to him, be honest with them, we've got to give them over to him, and we can't hold on to our sadness so tight. So what do we do with our sadness? The book of Psalms is actually a really, really great place for us to start. Because in this story, David holds on to his sadness. But for the most part, if we read the book of Psalms is actually David's journal. It's David taking his sadness and being honest about it before God and not holding on to it tightly. He's giving his sadness up to God in his journal. He's sharing his sadness with God. That's what it means to make our sadness obedient to God. We give it up to him. And so 56ers, this week, Pastor Jordan and I are going to take a few minutes and we're just going to read you some Psalms, give you a little glimpse of what it looks like to take your sadness captive and make it obedient to God.
Psalm 9, 9 and 10. The Lord is a refuge for the oppressed, a stronghold in times of trouble. Those who know your name trust in you, for you, Lord, have never forsaken those who seek you. Psalm 55, 1 and 2 and 16 and 17. Listen to my prayer, O God. Do not ignore my plea. Hear me and answer me. My thoughts trouble me and I am distraught. As for me, I call to God and the Lord saves me. Evening, morning, and noon I cry out in distress and he hears my voice. Psalm 116, 3 to 5. I was overcome by distress and sorrow. Then I called on the name of the Lord. Lord, save me. The Lord is gracious and righteous. Our God is full of compassion. Psalm 23:4. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Psalm 130, 1-2 and verse 5. Out of the depths I cry to you, Lord. Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears be attentive to my cry for mercy. I wait for the Lord. My whole being waits, and in his word I put my hope. Psalm 25, 16 and 17. Turn to me and be gracious to me, for I am lonely and afflicted. Relieve the troubles of my heart and free me from my anguish.
All right, as we've been thinking about sadness today, thinking about taking our sadness captive and making it obedient to Christ, I want us to go to Psalm 143, verses 4 to 8. And I want you to think about this and close your eyes and picture what is happening here as we listen to God together. So get your pen and paper ready and pay attention to what Jesus is going to say to you. We're going to listen to the word and write down the things that it makes us think about. Here we go. Hold on, can I pause? Do you know that any time that we read scripture, we should pray in our hearts that God would use it to speak to us? And it's just a simple prayer like this. Dear Jesus, as we read, would we hear your voice? Okay. Psalm 143. So my spirit grows faint within me, my heart within me is dismayed. I remember the days of long ago. I meditate on all your works and consider what your hands have done. I spread out my hands to you. I thirst for you like a parched land. Answer me quickly, Lord. My spirit fails. Do not hide your face from me or let me be like those who go down to the pit. Let the morning bring me word of your unfailing love, for I have put my trust in you. Show me the way I should go, for to you I entrust my life. I want you to think for a second here. I spread out my hands to you. I thirst for you like a parched land. I want you to think about maybe an area in your life, we're just pause real quick, where you feel sadness. And as I read it this next time, I want you to think about that area right now. Think about it. Bring it to mind. Where is there sadness? Okay? Then I want you to stretch out your hands like this as I read it to you. And we'll offer our sadness to God. So my spirit grows faint within me. My heart within me is dismayed. I remember the days of long ago. I meditate on all your works and consider what your hands have done. I spread out my hands to you. Take the sadness right now that I feel and I spread it to you. I thirst for you like a parched land. Answer me quickly, Lord. My spirit fails. Do not hide your face from me, or I will be like those who go down to the pit. Let the morning bring me word of your unfailing love, for I have put my trust in you. Show me the way I should go, for to you I entrust my life. What I want you to think about and spend a little bit of time maybe talking about or writing down in your journal is that place of sadness that you spread it out before the Lord, that you offer it to Him, and that you trust Him. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean, we've talked about prayer before, it doesn't necessarily mean that the Lord is going to answer right away with what you want about the sadness you're feeling, but you're giving it to Him. That's being obedient to Jesus and trusting Him in your sadness. Now, some of you can't think of anything immediately of what you're sad about, but I bet if you took a few minutes after we're done just to think about and ask yourself the question, what makes me sad? Something would come to your mind. And then I'd love it if you'd write and talk to God about it or share it with a family member and spend a little bit of time praying about it. Take your sadness captive. Make it obedient to Jesus. Thanks, 56ers.